On June 5th, 1977, a magazine hit newsstands across America. The cover showed a black man in a custom leather coat and matching hat, clean-shaven, calm, confident. Around his neck was a red, white, and blue tie, the colors of the American flag. The headline read, "Mr. Untouchable." The subtitle asked a dangerous question. Police say he may be Harlem's biggest drug dealer, but can they prove it? His name was Nicky Barnes, and that single photograph would destroy everything he built. The first rule of power is to stay invisible. Most kingpins hide in shadows. They don't smile for cameras. They don't talk to reporters. They don't crave attention, because the first rule of the game is simple: stay invisible. But Nicky Barnes hated his mugshot. So when the New York Times magazine told him they'd run it unless he posed for a real photo, Barnes agreed. Custom clothes, professional lighting, a patriotic tie. It wasn't a strategy. It was vanity and arrogance that the magazine landed on a breakfast table in Washington, D.C. And President Jimmy Carter picked it up. He read the article. He stared at the photo, a drug dealer smiling on the cover of America's most respected newspaper, dressed in the colors of the flag, as if it was a joke. Carter picked up the phone and called the Attorney General. Make this the most important case in the country. At that moment, Mr. Untouchable was no longer untouchable. He made himself a target, as the saying goes. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. If you like this video so far, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Nicky Barnes was born in the trenches. Nicky Barnes was born on October 15th, 1933, in Harlem during the Great Depression. His real name was Leroy Nicholas Barnes. His father was abusive and an alcoholic, the kind of man who teaches you early that survival means leaving. So Barnes left emotionally first, then physically. By 17, he was arrested for possession of a hypodermic needle. By his 20s, he was addicted to heroin. But Barnes wasn't just street smart. He was intelligent, and prison would become his classroom. In 1965, Barnes was arrested with over $500,000 worth of heroin and sent to Greenhaven Prison. That's where he met Crazy Joe Gallo, a captain in the Colombo crime family. The Italian mob wanted Harlem's drug trade, but they couldn't operate there without standing out. So Gallo did something different. He taught Barnes how to structure an organization, how to insulate leadership, how to think like the Mafia Commission. Barnes was getting a master's degree in organized crime. When Gallo got out, he helped get Barnes's conviction overturned on a technicality. Barnes walked free, but he didn't return to the streets. He went back to build an empire. In 1972, Barnes formed the Council, 7 men, structured like a boardroom, modeled after the Mafia Commission. They pooled money, bought drugs in bulk, controlled territories, settled disputes internally. No street wars, no emotional decisions. This wasn't a gang. This was a corporation that sold death. By 1976, Barnes controlled over 3,000 dealers across multiple states and even Canada. Peak net worth, $50 million, over $250 million today. Luxury cars, custom suits, real estate, legitimate businesses as fronts, 13 arrests, 0 convictions. The police couldn't touch him. They gave him a name, Mr. Untouchable. One man stood closest to Barnes, Guy Fisher, charismatic, generous, loved by Harlem. Fisher bought and restored the Apollo Theater, becoming the first black owner in its history. To the community, he was a hero. But behind the charity was the same poison. Barnes treated Fisher like a son. He taught him everything, and that would become his greatest mistake. Nicky Barnes went on trial, and that changed everything. In 1977, Barnes was arrested again, this time by federal agents. But then came the magazine cover. President Carter personally ordered Barnes taken down. This trial was different. It was definitely personal for the authorities. For the first time ever, a federal drug trial used an anonymous jury. The government wasn't taking chances. Barnes was convicted on every count. Guy Fisher, hung jury. He walked free. Barnes didn't. On January 19, 1979, Barnes was sentenced to life without parole. maximum security, 23 hours a day in a cell. But Barnes wasn't worried. He believed in the oath. Treat my brother as I treat myself. Inside prison, Barnes's world collapsed. His money disappeared. His lawyers stopped getting paid. His properties fell apart. And then came the final blow. Guy Fisher was sleeping with Nicky Barnes' woman. That violated the one sacred rule of the council. Then Barnes learned his wife had moved on too. Everything he built was gone, and he couldn't touch any of them. So Barnes made a decision. In 1982, Barnes called federal prosecutors, not for mercy, for revenge. I want to get back at them, he said. Barnes became the most dangerous witness in New York history. He gave up 109 names, testified in 50 trials, destroyed the entire council. He even implicated himself in murders, just to take others down. His wife went to prison. His mistress was murdered. Guy Fisher was convicted and sentenced to life. The empire was ashes. In 1998, Barnes was released as a reward for cooperation. New name, new identity, witness protection. He worked at Walmart. The man who once ruled Harlem was now asking permission to take bathroom breaks. He admitted it himself. I missed the glamour. I missed the money. Nicky Barnes died in 2012, anonymously. No funeral, no headline. His death stayed secret for 7 years. When people talk about Nicky Barnes, they usually focus on the flash, the cars, the suits, the power, the nickname Mr. Untouchable. But that nickname was never the truth, because nobody is untouchable. Anyone can be touched. Barnes didn't fall because he was sloppy in the streets. He didn't fall because he lacked intelligence. He didn't even fall because law enforcement suddenly got smarter. He fell because his ego made him visible. That magazine cover didn't just expose him to the public, it exposed him to the highest levels of government. It turned a local drug problem into a national embarrassment. And once that happened, the outcome was sealed. But the deeper lesson comes after the prison doors closed. Barnes believed loyalty was permanent. He believed money guaranteed respect. He believed fear could replace trust. And the moment he lost power, he learned the truth. Loyalty that depends on fear disappears when fear is gone. Brotherhood built on profit collapses when the money stops. And rules only matter when people still benefit from following them. The oath sounded powerful. Treat my brother as I treat myself. But when Barnes was locked away, those words became empty. That's when revenge took over. Barnes didn't cooperate to fix wrongs. He didn't cooperate to save lives. He cooperated to hurt the people who hurt him. And that kind of revenge doesn't discriminate. Women went to prison. People died. Families were destroyed. Children grew up without parents. Barnes burned the entire kingdom down, and himself with it. In the end, he got what he wanted. Everyone who betrayed him paid a price. But what did Barnes get? A quiet life under a fake name, a low-wage job, no power, no respect, no legacy. 7 years passed before the world even learned he was dead. Compare that to Guy Fisher, 36 years in prison. But he came out educated, clear-minded, purpose-driven. The man Barnes called a traitor rebuilt himself, while Barnes erased himself. That's the uncomfortable truth of this story. Sometimes the man who snitches loses everything, but sometimes the man who can't let go of revenge loses even more. Nicky Barnes once ruled Harlem, but power without discipline, money without humility and loyalty, enforced by fear, always ends the same way. If you made it this far, hit the like button. It helps to channel more than you think. Drop a comment below and tell me, who do you think really won this story, Barnes or Fisher? And watch the video below for more true crime stories just like this one.